Got it.
Hello, world. I am super excited to be chatting today with the Black Business Connectors March featured entrepreneur, Larianne Tide. Say hello.
Hi. It's good to be here. Good to be interviewed by the wonderful Beth.
Yes, thank you. It's always a pleasure chatting with you and working with you. We just recently worked together on something for the
Yeah.
Black Business Connector. So
Mhm.
excited. Our photos are going to be listed soon in the directory with the new additions.
Yeah.
So to introduce you a little bit, and then you can talk more about yourself. You are a professional photographer. You are based in Norwalk, Connecticut, but I know when we chatted, you also spoke, you sometimes come into New York. So I'm guessing you travel.
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
yes. And you are also the owner of Tide and True Studios, which you own with your husband, which
Yes.
I think is just amazing and beautiful. And you are also an educator. So you educate people around photography and some other things, I believe. So, yes.
Yeah.
So, share a little bit about yourself and your business.
All right. So my name is Larianne. I started my photography business 10 and a half years ago. And then on the anniversary of the launch of our business, we decided to launch another one, Tide and True Studios. So we started off, doing like natural light portraits and all that stuff outside, mostly because I didn't know how to work in a studio and I was too afraid. And then we also dabbled in wedding photography and became pretty good at wedding photography, but something was missing. And we decided to just learn more about studio work. And then that just translated into us opening up a massive studio. And like, we didn't even take a baby step. We just were like, yeah, we're going to do this. So it's been great. I've been doing studio work for almost 4 years now. And studio photography is now our primary source of income. So it's just amazing how things work out. It's like this thing that I was afraid to do, and now it's like the thing that I do, like it's my thing. So it's great.
I love it. I love it. And yes, it is massive because I have been to your studio. So you have like the regular working studio with like
Hmm.
backdrop and space for makeup artists and the clients to come in and sit down on couches and review the photos. But you also have like this back room that's like huge where you have sets.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So the total studio space is 6,500 square feet. The part that we did our little headshot event in, that's like about 1,200 square feet. So we have like whatever the math is, 40 something hundred square feet of space. Yeah, that we just turned into different sets. And because I specialize in birthday photography, adults with balloons being silly, I kind of wanted the studio to look like a bunch of different sets that would be perfect for birthdays.
Mhm.
So that's why we set it up that way, so that clients can come in and they can have fun all over the studio and create some really cool pictures.
Yes, yes. Birthdays are, hey, listen, you can celebrate your birthday every day of the year.
Right,
The
right.
special, yes.
Yeah, mom will celebrate her birthday and then she'll have the kids celebrate their birthday. So it's like nobody's never gonna stop. Like nobody's gonna stop celebrating birthdays. It's always gonna be a thing.
Yes, yes, that's definitely a need. So I love how you focused in on that. It's like a niche down. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
times as photographers, I know when I started, I was like, I'm just going to do everything. I'm going to learn everything so that I can do everything and people will hire me for everything. And actually, there's not that much money in doing everything.
Right, exactly. When you're specialized in something, people really like gravitate towards you for sure.
Yep. Yep. That has been one of my business lessons. But let's talk a little bit about inspiration.
Mhm.
So where do you get your inspiration from? Obviously birthdays and people and celebrating life, but does your inspiration come from?
So, I started the business in 2011. In 2012, I learned about something called Creative Live, and it was basically this online platform that would give photographers this space to learn pretty much every genre of photography. And it's like, if you watch it live, it's free. If you catch it afterwards, you'd have to pay for it. So I would be stuck on Creative Live because I didn't want to pay. So I was stuck in the whole Creative Live world. It's like, oh, what can I learn today? So I stumbled upon this woman named Sue Bryce, right? And she has this beautiful story, and she is like a very emotional person. And I fell in love with her. And she was shooting portraits in the most beautiful way. And I was like, I want to be like Sue Bryce. So I tried to learn everything, like how she taught it, but it wasn't really working for me a little bit. So I stopped. Then I decided to pick it up again, and I wanted to like turn that into like a fashion thing. And then I stopped because I couldn't figure out how to make money. And then finally, I just decided to like dive into it and really focus on learning posing for women and how to make women feel beautiful. And that's why I'm everybody's hype woman now. Like I'm the loudest, most obnoxious photographer you'll meet in a studio setting. Like I'm ridiculous. I scream constantly, but clients love it. That's part of the reason why they hire me, is because they know that they're gonna feel cute. So I definitely got my inspiration from Sue Bryce primarily. But when the glamour photography thing wasn't working for me the way I wanted to, I actually stumbled upon this photographer in Florida. She goes by Diamond Eyes Photography. She specialized because she stopped shooting now. She burned out, unfortunately. But yeah, I know, it's so sad because she was so good. And she specialized in birthday photography in Florida. And she would have the most like ornate sets. And it's like, I've never seen anything like this. Like nobody up here was doing that. So the wonderful thing about her was that she took everything that she knew and she was like, here, do you want to know where I get my props from? Here's a link. You want to know how I do this? Here's this. Like she shared everything. And so I pretty much bought everything from her Amazon shop, like all the links. I was like, I need the fake cakes, the fake cupcakes, the tiaras, the sparkly stuff, the glitter, the wine, everything. So that's where I got my inspiration from. So now I'm like a mixture of like Sue Bryce and Diamond Eyes photography. That's how I would define my work now.
Yes. Wow. Very cool. Yeah. And I think also, this is just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but you were saying you wanted to be just like Sue Bryce, right? At one point. But you were you're Larianne, and each one of us as a photographer or any artist for that matter, whether it's, you know, a hip hop artist or a photographer, a painter, whoever, like a composer of music, right? We all are, whatever we have inside of us is unique. And so it's never going to come out the same way someone else did. So yeah, we can take things from this person or that person or the next person, but at the end, it's going to kind of come out like we are, which is
Definitely.
what's happening. Yeah.
Definitely. I could never be Sue Bryce in a million years. Like, and that's what I realized. And that's why I stopped trying. I'm like, I'm never going to be Sue.
And that's okay, because you're Larianne. So you're,
exactly.
you know, you're just as fabulous. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. I want to also come back to the burnout, but later, because you said something about burnout. So I think that's something we can touch on later. But I do want to, you talked about transitioning and how like you were afraid of starting studio work. And then when you did finally open a studio, you opened it this past summer of 2021 when a lot of people were afraid. In fact, we've been, in my opinion, living in a season of fear for like 2 years. You call it the pandemic of fear. But yeah, so how do you do that? Like, what's your secret? So instead of like operating in fear, because you could have chosen to never become a studio photographer, or you could have chosen to do that, but like never open something in the middle of a time where people were like afraid to be up close and personal with one another. So how did
Mhm.
you like face your fear in studio and face your fear of just, or any like fears that were going on in the world of being up close and personal with people and starting a studio, which is where as photographers, we work up close and personal with people.
Yeah, so in 2020, when the pandemic hit, it did something to me, which I'm sure it did to pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
Um, I had I wanted to be a traveling wedding photographer, like destination wedding photography. It was a thing. I had even set up, I was planting seeds starting in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea was to become like a world famous. I know it sounds so silly saying it now.
Not silly. No, no, it's not. People do this. This is a real thing, Larianne.
Yeah, but it makes me laugh because I'm nowhere near that goal anymore.
That's okay. We can always
But
come back to it.
I absolutely could. So I was planting seeds in Atlanta, Georgia. I was going to start in Atlanta, then I was going to move to Miami, Florida, and then, well, not move, but I was going to set up teams in Atlanta, teams in Miami, Florida, teams in like the other side of the country, and then start dominating everything in the wedding world. I had those plans in place.
Yes.
It was going to be amazing. And then the pandemic happened. Weddings were canceled. Everything shut down. And I was like, yeah, so that's not going to work anymore. And I had to change everything. So all of these months of work to do this thing that I wanted to launch canceled. So when they said that photographers were not considered an essential business and we had to close our doors, I remember I hurriedly did a birthday shoot for a client in Bridgeport a few days before it was even scheduled, just because on the day that we were supposed to shoot, we were not allowed to. So I was like, hey, are you free tomorrow? Like, can we do tomorrow? And she's like, yes, because she planned her session months in advance. And so we did that. And then I was just like, what am I going to do? I have no income for I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
So I actually started doing Instacart and other gig work. And I was doing really well. You know, I was making a ton of money. And then we could open back up and it was great. And when we opened back up, everybody wanted to book.
Yes.
It was like something happened where everyone was like, I need a shoot now. You want $700? I'll give it to you. You want this? Like, they didn't care. They were like, I can't have a birthday party. I'm just going to go all out. The thousands of dollars I was going to spend on my birthday party, I'm going to give it to you, RJ. So like all of a sudden the birthday shoots were going crazy. And I thought I was busy before. Absolutely not. I was probably doing like maybe 4 sessions a month. I was doing like, sometimes I was doing 3 sessions a day. Like it was out of this world crazy. So because of that, Rudy and I were practically living in our car because we would have to be in Queens in the morning and then in Bridgeport in the evening.
Yeah.
We were barely seeing the kids. It was bittersweet because we were making such good money, but there was no time freedom. I was swamped with work, and I was like, we need our own studio. We can't keep traveling to Queens. We can't keep traveling to Bridgeport. We need a central location. So I ignored everything. I was like, yeah, there's a pandemic going on. I'm going to open up a massive business. For the sake of my sanity, for the sake of my marriage, for the sake of my kids, I need a location that can handle all of the volume that we do.
Yeah.
So I ignored everything. And the thing about me is wearing a mask, I can't breathe in it. So I don't even wear a mask while I'm shooting. And my clients know that too. So if anyone's uncomfortable, like maybe we can't shoot because there's no way I can keep a mask on. I am vaccinated. I sanitize like crazy. I clean the bathrooms regularly. I try to keep everything as clean as possible because I don't want anyone to get COVID in the studio, and I don't want to catch COVID myself. But yeah, I've just been ignoring I've just been acting like there hasn't been a pandemic, besides all the crazy cleaning and stuff, but I don't operate in fear. And when they talk about, the Omicron variant is here and it's like, okay, but we're still gonna shoot. Like, until you guys tell me I can't shoot anymore, I'm gonna keep shooting, and I'm not gonna allow fear of what might happen in the future to take over my business.
Yeah. Yeah. That is kind of my mindset too. I'm like, I am just going to choose to not be afraid.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm just going to like focus my vision on something else. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely a choice, because I have clients who come to the studio and they're visibly afraid,
Mhm.
or the person that they're there with, like whoever they brought as a guest, like mom is all masked up and staying like 20 feet away from me. But it's like, I'm not going to choose to be afraid of this. Like, I'm doing what needs to be done in order to not get sick, and I'm praying that we all leave the studio the same way that we came, not sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, we can do what we can control, right? Like cleaning surfaces, which to be honest, should be done anyway. I
Yeah,
have
but
this.
I mean, I do it on another level now.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'm sure you do. I do too. I now carry like straight up alcohol in my purse, and I'll like spritz my hand with like rubbing alcohol. My future children would be like, "Mom, why do your hands look like my grandmother?" Well, kids,
Yeah, let me tell you about this pandemic that happened.
before you were here, this is what happened. Yeah. But it is a real thing, and so yeah, I was curious how you had managed to navigate through everything, as a business owner,
Mhm.
in sort of like this season of fear. So yes, thank you for answering that. And actually,
Yeah.
your story actually, you've kind of answered this. The next thing I did want to ask you is because I know myself and a lot of entrepreneurs, and you know what, forget it, just ordinary people even who might be listening to this in the future, um, who are like yourself, a wife, you know, a mother, and I'm assuming you have friends and other family members and other interests and hobbies besides just taking photos, right? And you talked
Yeah.
about like at one point you and your husband were like pretty much living almost like in your car.
Yeah.
So you opened the studio and that helped you get more balance in your life,
Hmm.
right? But in
For sure.
general, yeah, how do you balance building this photography empire with just enjoying the life that you want to enjoy and live?
So I have a very strict schedule and I stick to it. Um, I think it's part of like, and I hope this doesn't make me sound like cocky or conceited,
No.
but it's kind of like you got to know your value. Like, you have to know your value, you have to know your worth. I know for sure that I'm the only photographer in the area who shoots the way that I do, who specializes in birthday photography. Like, that's without a doubt.
Yeah.
So I know that when I tell clients that I only do one shoot per day,
Mm,
and when I have strict business hours of 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and you have to book between those times, they have to abide by it. Yes, I do make exceptions, like I'm not a monster or a robot. Like, if someone's like, oh no, I leave work at 5, I won't be able to get to the studio until 6:30. We're gonna be shooting until well past 9. Okay, fine, we can do that. But I really try to stick to my schedule. I don't make a lot of exceptions. When I give my clients my calendar link and they see that the date is blocked, that means they can't book it.
right.
They could ask me, sure, they could ask me, but I'm not going to let them know, hey, you know what? If you see a block date, it's fine. You can book it. No, I don't say that. Unless they ask, then I'll think about it. But obviously, if we're shooting in Norwalk at 5 and you want me to come to Queens for 12, that's a no. I'm sorry, I'm not available. So
Yeah.
that's how I balance everything. I just keep a very strict schedule. I let people know these are my hours. These are the terms, and hopefully they abide by it. If they feel like they can't, then I'm not the photographer for them. But I can't live the way that I was living before. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to like kiss my kids goodnight. Like, that means so much to me. Like, sometimes we will race home just so that I can like, and or their grandfather will just put them to bed, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I open up the door, and I'm like, good night. Yeah, like so that's how I do it. Just keeping everything strict.
Yeah. That does help me too, but I think I need to get definitely stricter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What
Yeah.
I've noticed though is like when you put a demand on yourself and for your services, then people recognize that and then they strive to get on your calendar. So all of a sudden, like you're this like unattainable, unreachable photographer and they booked you, they feel special,
That's
you
true.
know?
Yeah.
So like, and you don't have to be a mother, you don't have to be a wife to do this. Just
Right.
be a human being who values herself or himself
Yeah.
and say, this is how it is. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
Yes. I mean, definitely one of my favorite words is no. It might actually be my favorite word. It's at least my second favorite word is no.
Yeah.
It's a great word. It's so easy to say too. No.
Yeah. That's funny.
So what do you feel is the biggest factor in your success?
Um, I think definitely niching down to my specialty of birthday shoots. Oh, for sure. So before I thought that I was very successful. Like I said, I was doing 4 shoots a month. I'm like, this is great. When we file our taxes, I think, and I'm a very open person with like numbers and money. So I hope that's not very off-putting to anybody who's watching. So I filed my taxes and I probably earned like maybe like 30 something $1,000, which is not bad. That's great. But when you have dreams as large as mine, $30,000 is not going to cover it. Okay.
No.
We can't move forward with $30,000. And then my husband, Rudy, lost his job. When was it? I think it was August 2020. They fired him. They came up with some stupid excuse, which didn't even make any sense. But I knew that they wanted to get rid of him for a long time, and then they finally just did it. And I was just like, why don't you just quit? Like, they don't even like you. Like, why don't you just quit? Like
He's so helpful. I've met him. He's wonderful.
I know. He's a very valuable person. Like he knows so much, but the company, the people, they were just not very nice and they didn't appreciate him and they didn't value him. And I wanted him to leave for so long. So when they fired him, I knelt down in front of him. I'm like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, good. And I was like, okay, on to the next thing. Like, we're good. Now we get to work together. So
yeah.
Due to the fact that Rudy didn't have a job, so we didn't have his income. Now it's only me. Now my dreams have to be even bigger. Like I gotta dream bigger. We gotta make more. And so because I was able to niche down to my specialty, really focus on getting better at it, I was able to scale the business to 6 figures for the first time last year is when we made over $100,000 in sales. And I'm trying to push that even more this year because like people want birthday shoots. Like they really want it. And I kind of know how to get it to that level. I don't even remember what the question was.
What's the biggest factor in your success?
The biggest factor, yes, was definitely the niching, yes.
Yes.
And that's how I was able to go from, just earning my little, well, not little, but just earning the 5 figures to 6 figures. And just whatever it is that you do, when you're able to really focus on doing it better and learning and always being open to growing. Yeah. If you make bottles, like you make bottles, okay, learn how to be the best bottle maker in your area. Like whatever it is that I do, like because I do a lot. Like I have a crochet business, I have I do a clothing line, whatever it is that I put my mind to, I always aim to be the best at it. So yeah.
Yes, I admire that crochet business. My grandmother tried to teach me how to crochet. So
Yeah.
I made a scarf and it's the last thing I ever did it takes patience. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It does, but it's really nice. It's soothing. I don't crochet as much as I used to anymore. I use a knitting machine now because my hands, the lenses are too heavy and they hurt my hand. So I can't crochet anymore, but I do use a knitting machine and It's nice.
Oh, well, that's something to consider. I might look into that too, because I love it. I'm
You
like, I
literally just go like this.
sweater.
Yeah, no, you just crank like that. That's it.
Okay.
No skill required, just cranking. You just gotta go like this.
I could maybe do that.
Oh,
My
yes.
skills are not good in the crochet world. It was, I mean, my grandmother was like, thank you. But even she was like, I don't think she ever wore the scarf. So it's never been a business venture of mine to like consider. But now that I know that there's a machine.
Yeah. I'll send you that link.
Let's hope for anyone else out there who has other aspirations that they think they can do. Apparently anything is possible.
Yeah.
So what does the next level of success look like for you?
Every time I get asked this question, I'm like, there's so many things that we have coming up. And I think when I reach that next level of success, you're actually going to not see me working a lot. Like the next level for me is managing. Like I've already started my business management company. So I currently manage a photographer. I'm trying to scale the side of her business that she's not able to work on because she's so busy. I'm trying to scale that to 6 figures. So I do that. And also I am launching birthdayshoots.com, of course. Birthdayshoots.com, where I'll be managing photographers all over the country who specialize in birthday photography, or they can fall under the Photography by Large umbrella and they can shoot for me. And I just do all of the post-processing and stuff like that and the client management.
Yes.
So yeah, the next level of success is just me managing, just sitting at my computer and managing. I'm not going to be shooting too much. I'm probably going to be more heavy in the education side of things and the management of other photographers as well as my own photography companies. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and you've definitely this year, because I know we spoke, you started an online course. So you have it's through Teachable, I think, right?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've already started that, and that's not just for photographers. That's gonna be, like I said in the interview with Santana. We call ourselves Tied and True because we took that from the phrase tried and true.
Yes.
So basically, it's supposed to be a grouping of all of these entrepreneurs who have had success in their field, and now they want to pass on the education to others so that they can help them. So everybody who's going to be on our platform has had their success. And yeah, it's going to be like this nice community of small business owners, just helping other businesses succeed.
Cool. Very cool. I love it. So in your opinion, let's talk about the opposite, or sort of like the opposite. What is the secret sauce that many entrepreneurs miss?
I think there are a few secret sauces.
Okay.
But the biggest one I think that entrepreneurs miss is like they don't know their numbers. And I've spoken to you about this a little bit, but like people don't know their numbers. They don't know how much they're spending every month. They don't know what they're profiting. They don't know how much from each session or how much each client is putting in their pockets, how much of that is actually staying in the bank. Because obviously we pay taxes, and I'm a Christian, I pay tithes. So like, if you give me $100, I don't get to keep all 100 of it. 30% of it goes to the government, 10% of it goes to my church. Like, so I'm left with $60. And so people don't understand that it's very important to know the ins and outs of your business. And that's the secret sauce. Once you figure out the cost of doing business and what it takes for you to do what it is that you do, then you're able to properly price yourself and keep in mind, like certain numbers and milestones that you want to reach. But if you don't know the cost of doing your business and you don't know what you are earning every time somebody walks through your door, then you're losing and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
You really don't know it. So I think that's definitely one of the secret sauces is just to know your numbers. Once you figure that out, then it's really up from there.
Yeah. I know you
Yeah.
were showing me this spreadsheet. So I have this little chart that I use, but I don't think it's specific enough. So when we're done with this, I think I'm going to ask you how I can how I can get, because you said you do customized spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets, yeah, I
Yeah.
do. Based on whatever the photographer's needs are. Like for me, obviously, I have a huge overhead because I have my studio. So, you know, there are certain expenses that I have that you might not have,
Right.
that I have to take into consideration every time I book a client. So yeah, like the more detailed your spreadsheet is, the better it will be for you, for sure.
Yeah. Mine is not very detailed. So we're going to chat later about how I can get a more detailed one. But I feel like that's true for any business. Like it doesn't matter
Any
like
business.
if you're a coach, if you are, I mean, like whatever type of business you have.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all have different, some people have office space, some people work from home. There's so many different aspects.
Yeah. Yeah, so the mistake that, and this goes for any field, the mistake that a lot of people make is they're like, oh, how should I price myself? And then they look at their competitors' rates and they're like, oh, well, this person is charging 600, I'll charge 500. But you don't have the same expenses as that other person. So you
Right.
can't even charge the same thing because you don't know that person's living situation. You don't know if they're married with 5 kids and they're the only ones who are bringing in income.
Yeah.
So like if you are married with 17 kids,
Oh
you
God.
can't
Oh,
you can't charge $600. You gotta charge like 1,200. So like that's the mistake that so many people make with every single field.
yeah.
They're looking at other people's pricing and saying, okay, I'm gonna either mimic that, charge below, or charge above, but they don't know the breakdown of why that person is charging that.
Yeah.
So it's very important to consider that.
But it also goes into, it's like such a odd thing. So I had someone recently tell me that they couldn't afford to book me as a photographer because they were going through a divorce and his wife was coming for his money. Now I get it. I'm not insensitive to it, but I have a roof. Like
Yeah.
how, like my landlord's going to be coming from my apartment or his apartment actually, if I don't pay the rent. And so it's like we all have our own needs. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a balance. Like there's the balance for the client,
Mhm.
and there's the balance for the other person. So I was like, well, if you get one of your friends or someone you know to book a shoot with me and they actually pay me, I'll do yours for free. So like it was kind of like
Okay.
I was like, because I'm willing to work with people, right? Like I understand, but at the same time, I have to understand myself. Like I can't be just
Yeah.
walking around passing out a free shoot because you have a crappy life situation, which I'm sorry
Yeah.
to hear about. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, every time I knock off a date on my calendar, I see it as $900. So if anyone is asking me to do anything for less than, or I feel like I'm not going to be earning $900, can you get somebody to give me 900? Because that's that I know my numbers. And
yeah,
I know that I can't do this for you for free because I'm literally passing up $900 to do this for you.
right.
That's how I see it. So when somebody's like, "Oh, can you shoot my birthday party? My budget's $250." Absolutely not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We can't do that.
Yeah, because you have
Yeah.
a house and you have a studio and you have children.
Yeah. Like me giving you this date means that I'm losing
700.
whatever the math is on that. That's like I can't. That's $650 that I'm losing because I'm deciding to do this for you. I'm so sorry. I hope you find another photographer who's within your budget. Like that's it. Or you need to book something else in the future that's gonna, like balance it out.
Make
But
it work. Yeah.
yeah, there's no way. I'm sorry for that guy who's going through the divorce, but that would
Me
have not.
too. But it's like, I mean, a lady's got to eat, sleep safely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yes, before we end this, we need everyone to know how they can connect with you. So, how
Oh,
can people connect with you?
oh my gosh, there's so many different ways. Um, Well, my main account that I'm on now, because I'm taking like a little hiatus from my, oh, it's not even, I log in sometimes. I'm trying to take a little hiatus from my personal Instagram because I've been getting distracted, and we all know time is money. So the main way to connect with me is through Instagram, at photography by Larj, Larj. That is my main account. That's where I post everything. I have my studio account linked on there as well. But people can either reach out to me through there. I'm always like, I have two phones, and I get notifications on both phones. And all the links to book me for my services are on there as well.
Okay, perfect. So I will definitely, when I post this up on YouTube, add in all your links as well. But if people are just listening, it's photography by Lar, Lar, and then J.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. All right, nice. So is there any last pearl of wisdom that you'd like to share before we end?
No, I think I've said so much, but
we have talked about a lot.
For this. What happened?
I said we have talked about a lot. Yes.
We have. I feel like I poured out my whole brain. I don't even know what else I could say, but I did want to thank you for this. This is wonderful. And I love what you're doing for the community. It's great.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks. It's been fun. It is definitely the hardest thing ever to try to get people to come out for an event. But yes.
Yeah. It's definitely difficult. I know that for sure.
All right. Well, I will chat with you later. Thank you for your time.
Right.
Bye.